So the way that any physician can do a rough calculation is, and again, the cost per year. So you have to buy your malpractice insurance, just like if you have to buy your car insurance every year. But then tail insurance is if and when you leave, you may or may not have to buy it. So a good way to kind of calculate that, if you don't know, is to find out how much your malpractice premium costs every year. So that's a question that you can call the broker who sold you the policy, or your office manager, or you can call the HR department if you have one, and say, how much does my malpractice insurance cost you every year if the physician's not the one buying it, which is the common way, is that the employer provides it. And then take that number and multiply it by 1.6 to 2.5. And it all depends on how long you're there. So if you're just there for a year, it's going to be on the lower end, 1.2, 1.4 times your premium. If you've been there for a 5-year period, a malpractice insurance typically matures over 5 years. So just to use examples, it might cost a family practitioner $6,000 year 1, $9,000 year 2, $15,000 year 3, $18,000 in year 4, and then $20,000 in year 5. And then it might just stay at $20,000, right? And so to tail out, you would generally take that $15,000 in the example and multiply it by 2 to 2.5. So 15,000 means 30 grand, right? And that's a rough estimate on what you need to come to the table if you have to buy your tail insurance upon termination. And again, depending on the state, it might be different. Depending on where you're going, what's your employer you're going to, that may be something you can negotiate. That might vary. So again, the story matters. So doing an internet search on tail insurance cost might give you some really, really good information. I encourage everyone to do that. But finding out your story and how does it matter, for example, if you're in Kansas, staying in Kansas, or Kansas moving to Missouri, but Kansas City sits on the state line. So if you're a mile in Missouri versus staying in Kansas, how does that impact your malpractice insurance? It does. People think state income tax, but there's also patient compensation funds in various states that matter as far as like how long you're there and how they cover tail and how they don't. And it's just a lot of nuance, no different than public student loan forgiveness, right? And I had to be at this facility and work this many hours. And if I do that for so long, then, but an asterisk and an asterisk. And so again, that's why it's good that there's folks out there that can help physicians through these times that maybe things aren't as cut and dry or black and white or binary, if you will, in a contract.
I think the key takeaway with the tail insurance is like being aware of how it affects you if you were to leave on the front end. Like ideally, when you're going in, you're aware of who's going to cover tail, first of all, whether it's your employer or you. And second of all, if you're going to cover it, roughly what it's going to cost or some ballpark of what it's going to cost. Because if you end up in the burnout situation, like I gotta leave, like you need to know because what I have worked with people on multiple occasions, it is what it is. You got a lot of stuff going on. You kind of don't gloss over the tail, and then you end up having to leave, and it's a pretty big number. And it's like, we didn't have that in the picture. And if it's 50 grand, you're going to owe to tail. That's just another big factor in the mix.